Hi, this is Sean Weaver with Six String Country, and in this lesson we'll be taking a look at Jingle Bells and showing you how to play the tune through two different keys. And all of these techniques are introduced in the Introduction to Fingerstyle Guitar lesson. So if there's anything you'd like some clarification on, or if you're just beginning and could use some building blocks before you get into this, please refer back to that video. And with that, we'll get into the tune. In this first section of the tune, we'll be using the brushing technique with the C chord, which is familiar now, and the melody will be in the bass strings, and all we have to do is the 6th string, 4th string. Hey, that melody note is right out of the chord, so that's real convenient. Then lift up your 2nd finger, open 4th string, and then move your 3rd finger to the 5th string, 3rd fret. You'll also recall, if you use the more developed version of the C chord that has your 3rd finger sandwiched, then the 3rd fret is already held down. Now, personally, a lot of times when I'm playing this, I don't go through to that much work. I just move my finger. It's easier for my hands, and everybody's hands are different, but it's easier for my hands to just bounce my 3rd finger between the 6th string and then down to the 5th string, 6th string to the 5th string. That's the way my hands work. But you could practice doing the 2 at 1. Either way, in that first measure, your melody is going to be. That's actually the first measure through the beginning of the 2nd measure. And above that melody, we're going to just have the remaining part of that C chord, and we'll be strumming on beat 2 and the end of 2. So it'll sound like this. And then we can fill in the time on the 2nd measure with some more strums, and I've indicated the rhythm of that in the notes and on the tab. It's a dotted quarter note followed by 3/8 notes, so it sounds like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. At this point, we're ready to go into the thumb picking portion of the tune, and we're going to remain in the key of C and remain with those basic chord shapes that I showed you in the first part. and there will be just a few slight variations I'll talk about when I get there to accommodate bass notes when we're thumb picking. But we're going to begin with now the melody. As usual when we're thumb picking, the melody now is in the treble strings, and it's the bass that's holding down the groove. So we'll be with our C chord in measure 33, and the melody above will be, and you see in your tablature, that's just open third string, open second string, and third fret, second string, to first fret, second string, back to the open third string. And going on underneath that is a 3-string alternating bass pattern. Again, if there's any question about 3-string versus 2-string alternating bass patterns or what I'm talking about, refer back please to the Introduction to Fingerstyle guitar lesson. It's all covered in there. So I'm alternating between the 5th, 4th, and 6th strings here. That's my pattern. And that's going to stay my pattern for the next 3 measures. So when I combine the melody with that, and by the way, the melody in measure 35 is almost identical to measure 33. The only difference is on the end of 4, and you'll see this in the tab, it goes to the 2nd fret of the 3rd string because we're going to transition to an F chord. So for measures 33, 34, and 35, when we combine the melody and the bass, it sounds like this. And then you'll see I've gone to the F chord. My left hand is now in a slightly different shape than you may have seen it up to this point in the arrangement, because this is a version of the F chord that I haven't yet used. Remember I showed you this with the open 5th string. Well, in this next go round, you don't have to have the first finger barred right away. That will come in the following measure, but you have some time to adjust your hand if you like. And really you just need to get your thumb around the 1st fret of the low E string of the 6th string and have your 3rd finger here. So this much of the chord is formed. And your 1st finger can wait until the next measure if you'd like, because the melody in the next measure becomes, and that looks like an F chord that we were talking about. And then you got to lift up the 1st finger to get the open 1st string for the melody, to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string for the melody, to the open 2nd string, which will lead us into the G7 chord, another chord that we'll be getting into. But just the part moving from the C chord to the F chord. So your thumb picking groove in the on the F chord, string 6, 4, 5, 4. Put the melody with it. You got. And then we're going to go to the G7 chord with the open B string in the melody. So to get that, remember at the end of the brushing section of the first part of this tune, we did that on beat 3 of, I believe it was bar 32 if you're looking back in your tablature. We're not going to strum it all together, but that's the shape our left hand will be in. So G7 chord again. So we got an open 2nd string in the melody, and I'm thumb picking between the 6th string and the 4th string, and adding in the pinkie on the high E string. And then, because the melody does go to the 1st fret of the high E string, to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, we have to move our hand just a little bit, but these 2 guys remain planted. So the pinkie and the 1st finger do all of the melody work and the motion, but underneath that it's just those 2 chord tones. They belong to a G7 chord. So if I play those measures 38 and 39, it's and I have the open 1st string now. And here comes the lick. And I took this directly from Chet. Chet used this, I believe it was in Oh by Jingle. As we were talking about with the other lick, he loved open strings against fretted notes. So that's sliding up with your pinky to the 10th fret. Where you begin on the slide in, it's arbitrary. It doesn't really matter if you start all the way down here or if you start up here. It happens too fast for the ear to even remotely register it. But you're sliding in, and I actually put my third finger on top of my pinky to give it some strength. That's just something I do. That might help if you're feeling that your pinky needs a little more support. And so slide into the 10th fret, and then get the open third string immediately after that. And then the 7th fret of the 4th string, followed by the open third string again, followed by the 7th fret of the 5th string, followed by the 3rd string open again, followed by the 8th fret of the 6th string.